No, watching those guys play kind of was depressing a bit because, they're all very, very, very good players. And hit some shots that I thought, not sure I got that one. But this is what I love to do. Sit on the range and hit some balls. Try and get better.
Is there a shot that stood out in your head? Just a moment?
I didn't see it personally because it was kind of right at the end, but Tommy's shot into 16 with that pressure. And you got about 20,000 people around that hole. And, Ricky made it a little easier on him, but
right.
To stand up there and hit it to 25 feet.
That was fantastic.
Pretty amazing. But there were so many good shots. So many.
Yeah.
No, these are highly, highly skilled individuals that know what to do, and they have their caddies and stuff. So suddenly, as a captain, for me, I was on some par threes now and again, and just relaying information like Victor hit a 5-iron here. As simple as that. Again, that might help them a little bit. And there was a couple instances where we saw some people miss a shot long, and it was a really, really difficult up and down, and I just gave them that information. But to be honest, when the bell goes off Friday, there's not much I can do. I'm encouraging them, saying well done, or passing little bits of information like that, but there's not a lot once the bell goes off. A lot of the preparation is done before. It's not an easy job. I mean, it's difficult. So if you talk to Zach, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of preparation. It's not meant to be easy, though. It's a stressful week. It's a stressful build-up. But, I think you try and prepare as best you can and create an environment where the guys feel like they can succeed, and give them a game plan and give them a vision and give them reasons why I think they can win. And it was just a great week, so many great memories.
Ben, did you watch?
They got off to such a good start. Europe team that, me being American, it was like, man, I feel like it's almost already over. But the beauty of the Ryder Cup is I feel like we've seen a lot of comebacks in the past. And so you never kind of know what's going to happen. And Europe just kind of continued to build. And by the last day, it was almost... It would have taken a miracle, but
guys got us worried. I've got to say that.
Yeah,
we were stuck on 14 points, so it seemed like an eternity.
When you were on 14, that was when the first time I rooted. I was rooting for Sepp to get that last point.
Yeah,
I was like, all right, now that it's over, if I can at least get
within the last couple holes,
my buddy to get that point in time. But I think Tommy got the point before he finished 18, so I think Tommy got the credit.
Tommy got the credit, yeah.
Yeah.
Sepp ended up losing one down, but Sepp played great. He was good to be around. He's such a good guy.
I mean, I think it's just the highest honor that year of a player, because you have to be the best for that year, the 2-year span. And, being at that level and being able to represent your country I don't think there's anything better as a player. I mean, individually, obviously you want to win tournaments, but it's just making the team is an accomplishment, because that means you're the best, one of the top 12 players in your country over the last 2 years, and it's a reward in itself, and then you get to go compete for it. So, I mean, everyone tries to play the best they can all year, every year, and then it's just a reward like, hey, this is how well you've played. You get to play for your country. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. It's definitely not normal. Yeah, Zurich once a year, and that's if we play. Which, makes it so much more interesting as a captain. I mean, Luke trying to pick pairings. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of thought that goes into that, which is not thoughts that we normally have on the golf course. Like, who should we match up together, and how are they going to play? Because
it's become a lot more difficult over the years because of how many golf balls there are too. That's really a difficult thing.
Golf balls? Yeah.
Matching golf balls,
Yeah.
People who are comfortable playing something like slightly different.
Yeah.
you know, my first Ryder Cup in '04, it seemed like every brand had one golf ball, or maybe two. Now there's Stars and Left Dash and this and that, Chrome Soft and TaylorMade and TP5 and you know, there's literally 20 different golf balls brands, and you know, I played Titleist, but they have 8 or 9 different golf balls, and you know, trying to figure out leading up to the event who's going to maybe play with each other. He needs to try and test that ball. No, he doesn't like it. Like he can't hit it with his driver. Okay, that's out.
So that actually flashed some potential pairings.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Some guys are pretty easy, and they're like, nah, I'll figure it out. I'll just do it. Some guys are like, I can't play this ball.
Wow.
So you know, that's one of the trickiest things about foursome.
Which is never a conversation we have on a day-to-day basis as professional golfers, if you can play someone else's equipment.
Right.
Well, there's more intricacy. I think foursomes is the ultimate in terms of trust to your partner, because you don't want to let them down. You have to have you're sort of really into that group. Like in the four balls, you can sort of play individually, but in foursomes, you're hitting every other shot. I mean, it's all about chemistry, personality, you know, again, golf ball, and then how do you match up the course? You know, there's some guys, certainly at Marco Simone, the odds was definitely favored to the guy that hit the driver really well and long. I had a chance to hit a couple par fours and drivable par fours. The evens guy was a little bit more putting. So again, you look at all the stats and you try and put these pieces together, and it's a lot. It's not just one or two things. It's a many thing.
Do those pairings go into your mind before the picks, or do you kind of get your picks in and then start figuring it out from there?
Some pairings 6 months before.
Right.
But again, you don't know exactly how the picks are going to work out. So you're not trying to get too far ahead of yourself.
Right.
You're having sort of general thoughts. Yeah, so I had 6 picks this year, so I didn't think specifically about potential pairings, but that's one thing that you are looking at.
Yeah.
Yeah, this guy, okay, if I pick him, he could match up with this guy.
Right.
Certainly, I'm a note taker, I'm a detail kind of guy, so I even made notes when I was playing Ryder Cups, just in the hope that one day I'd be a captain. But I learned a lot from just my previous captains more than anything, just talking to them, leading up to the matches and getting insight that way. I talked to Langer, who was one of my first captain. I talked to McGinley, who wasn't a captain of mine, but I think had a good game plan when he was captain. Jose was obviously there as a vice captain. Thomas Bjorn was there as a vice captain. Those two past captains had a lot of experience. I learned on them a lot. I talked to a bunch of different guys. Monty, talked to Faudo. You know, just try and glean every little bit, you know, because the teams are so close that you're just looking for little things that might make a difference. No lead is ever safe in Ryder Cups, and it's such a strong team. You know, 12 of the top, I don't know what their worst ranked player was, 20-something, low 20s in the world. You know, you can't be complacent against that skill level. And they did. At one point, it looked like they could pull off an upset. I mean, that made for exciting TV. Certainly, it was closer than I would have liked for my nerves. I think it's always, you talk to any of these guys, it's hard to defend a lead. You know, it's always easier to chase, I think. That's why Tiger's best I've ever played against, because he's so good at closing out when he was in the lead. You know, I think, you know, his win percentage in the lead or tied for lead is something ridiculous, like 90% or something. I mean, it's next person would be 30% probably out here. I mean, it's not even close. So it's just difficult to close out events. That's why it's so important to have a nice lead going into Sunday. But the strategy, obviously, and the lineup you put, and the strategy from their side too. But yeah, still, you're playing for 28 points and 12 of them are on Sunday, so still a lot of points.
I mean, I obviously was, I'm trying to think of what I was doing, but I mean, I definitely tuned in on Sunday. Just because, like Luke said, there's 12 points for the last day. We felt like the Americans had a little bit of momentum going into that last day and, a fighting chance. What was it? Y'all came back one year, crazy amounts.
Medina, we were down 10-6 and we won that one.
Yeah.
It's the last time we won in the US.
So, I mean, it can be done. And I've obviously friends on both sides. So I was definitely rooting for the US, but, it's nice to see some of your pals play well for sure. And it just gives you more fuel to the fire to get there, just watching it.
Yeah, it's for Keith and Ben here, it's definitely be a goal. I mean, it's one of the most rewarding events I've ever got to be a part of.
Yeah, if Keith is, if only Ben has to hit in the fairway first for me to play with him.
Well, I've got a STX driver, so I have no excuses. Yeah, if Keith would welcome the idea of me being, a caliber of player to be able to play with Keith, I mean,
I'll say this: I'll play with anybody. if I get on that team, I don't care. Whoever the captain is, I'm saying, look, you put me with whoever you want that you ever think's gonna, help us win. I do not care. I'm excited to be part of that team.
We obviously asked the players, is there anyone you wouldn't want to play with? Anyone you really want to play with? Leading up to it, and all the rookies, they're like, I'll play with anyone.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm happy to be there, and I'm excited, and I don't want to be too picky.
Yeah, it goes back to what Keith was saying. It's like, to make a Ryder Cup, you've accomplished a lot in your last year or two. So everyone's playing well leading up to a Ryder Cup. So it's not like there's a guy on the team that you're like, oh, I don't know if I want to play with them. I don't know if they're in form. Everyone's good. Everyone's incredible. I mean, you're talking about the best players in the world. So everyone's should be happy to play with, anyone on the team and would be confident enough to win their match. But there's certainly personalities that you're trying to match up, and that's where the captain has most of their stress, figuring those things out. But I think us as players, it's interesting because it's such an individual sport, yet, in college, you're always on a team, Ryder Cups, Zurich Classic, other events, and you still got to focus on your own game throughout. There's certain strategies you can come up with your partner, but you're still playing your own golf game. And I feel like you can get caught up in trying to make a perfect pair, but at the end of the day, it's like you just got to go out there and execute.
You gonna take Ben's advice, Luke, if you're captain again?
He's not really wrong. I mean, obviously you want to enjoy the moments when you're together as a team, but you don't want to take the individuals out of their usual routines. That's what got them there. That's what makes them so great. So certainly got to pay attention to that as well and not change them too much.
I mean, if my partner's going to make 14 birdies, I could care less how I match up with them.
I can attest to that when I play with Sungjae at Zurich this year. Guy shot 6 under on the front 9, and I was just like, I'm here to help, buddy. Whatever you need.
Can I get you a Gatorade at the turn? What can I do for you? You get the pairings like JT and Spieth where they figure it out whether they're on their form or not, and so it's a game of whether you're ham and egging it or one guy's just striking it.
Well, I could just walk away into the sunlight and into the sunrise and leave my legacy as it is, as a winning captain. But obviously to go away and win, that's hard to do. That's really difficult. It's not been done very often. So there's the opportunity and the challenge to do that. Going to Bethpage in New York is going to be tough, to say the least. It's anyone who's played those events in New York, and these crowds are they're a different kind of different animal.
It's a love-hate up there, isn't it?
It's a lot of passion and emotion, and you can put it hate if you want to use that word. They're very energetic, the crowds up there. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. We'll have to see. I don't ruffle a lot of feathers, so I think that's good in a way. I mean, hopefully New Yorkers might feel sorry for me. Maybe not, but yeah, I'm not a controversial figure, so maybe that would help a little bit, but not a lot. As a player, you always feel like you can accomplish anything, and the goal for me is to just keep improving and play some events and try and put myself in a position to try and win again. I have Justin Rose on my team, who's a couple years younger than me, and he's still out there. He won again this year in Pebble Beach, and yeah, it's not easy. The talent out here is amazing. It's so deep. It's tough for the best players to win once or twice, So, but that's always the goal. For me physically, I think I obviously was out in 2018 with a back injury, and certainly my body, after playing this game for 40 years nearly, and as a professional for 21, 22, it just becomes more difficult to create speed, create you have to work around injuries. You have to spend more time warming up in the morning, spend more time warming down. You can't quite put in that grind that you used to, because it's just, you have to be way more efficient with your practice. So, again, and then you got these young guys you're competing against that are 24/7. They're grinding. It's difficult. So I have to kind of outsmart them a little bit, if anything. I have to do things that I'm good at, like short game, make putts, and kind of concentrate on what my skill set is.
Well, I certainly wouldn't want to be up against him, tied for the lead at like the Heritage with a couple holes to go, place that he's had so much success. But no, I mean, it's cool being around. The cool thing about the PGA Tour is you've got guys who are young and fresh like me, rookies, and you've got guys that have been established for 25 years, and you're constantly trying to learn as a rookie, trying to get better. And for me right now in my rookie season, I've had a couple of chances to win and haven't quite closed the door, but I've talked to guys that have gotten it done and tried to learn from them, and remind myself to stay patient. It's golf's such a complicated sport. You're just constantly learning, and you're trying to it's like Luke was just saying, trying to figure out little ways to be a little bit better. And we're competitors, but every shot counts, and it's so important. Yeah, I mean, anytime I can learn from a guy like Luke, who's had a ton of success on tour and Ryder Cup captain and victorious Ryder Cup captain, I mean, it's pretty special. And it's like Luke's a guy who I grew up watching on TV, and now to just be competing against him is pretty surreal. But it's childhood dreams, and they kind of become realities. And then once you kind of get to the top, you're a competitor, and you just want to try to win. And it's just been a cool experience. But yeah, I'm definitely fresh and very hungry, and there's different players at different stages in their careers that are, maybe try to find that hunger more than they used to have. So for me, I'm hungry, and I'm still chasing harder than ever.
I mean, there's only one way to get better at playing in the last group, and it's playing in the last group. I mean, first couple times I was in the last group, I did not perform well, just because it's a place you can't. I don't care what you do on the range, or playing growing up. Like, you can't emulate that pressure. I mean, Luke knows better than anybody. Like, you all of a sudden you're trying to win a PGA Tour event in the last group. Like, you cannot simulate that in practice. And once you finally start getting comfortable in that situation, then it just starts coming easier. So I would just say that you keep putting yourself in the last groups, you'll eventually get one. And then once you do, it'll just kind of snowball effects, because I don't care what anybody says, like hitting balls on the range and going and playing around, it can't prepare you for those sort of nerves. So just being there in that position is the only way to really kind of get used to them and embrace them. And I've only done it once, so I don't know what the hell I'm talking about.
I'm sort of not a modern day player. I've always been a little bit of a handsy action and relied a little bit on timing at times, which, again, can break down a little bit under extreme pressure. But as I said, I think that can certainly be overcome with good thoughts, good preparation, good practice routines. Certainly my best years in 11, 12, 10, 11, 12, I had some really good routines in practice where I was putting myself under pressure. Again, you can't simulate what a Sunday's like, but you can certainly give you a lot of confidence mentally that, you just have to do something that you've already done thousands of times in practice. I think I always had a really good mind in terms of how to work my way around golf courses. It's certainly not the longest by any means, but I think I have pretty good smarts, and I'm very, very good at getting the right distance. I think some of that is like a innate kind of feel that you're just kind of born with, but maybe offline a little bit now and again. But my distance was always spot on. I was never off by a long way, and I think that really helped with my consistency in my iron play, and see a lot to do with the equipment I played. I've played Mizuno for a long time, and really just trusted that they give me that consistency that I can feel like I can hit the right number when I need to.